Hello, vinyl lovers. It's Royce here, a vinyl junkie with Monroe. Hi, Monroe. This is my vinyl unicorn, Monroe. She attends every show with me. She's my right hand. I can't say enough about Monroe. She helps me out a lot. Moral support. She's there for me, good times and bads. This is Monroe, the vinyl unicorn. Hi, Mo. Hi. Okay, let's get back in our little bed. This is where she spends most of her time. Anyway, thank you very much for joining the show. This is, of course, our live unboxing show, and tonight we're going to be unboxing one of my all-time favorite bands, The Doors. And I've been listening to their music. It's actually playing in the other room right now, and I just I'm going to be listening to a lot more of it. I haven't listened to enough of it lately. And I just love the Doors. They are just absolutely fantastic. And, they produced 1965. They produced their first 6-song acetate demo, not your standard vinyl. And one of them just sold on eBay for $3,650, a 6-song acetate demo. Then it wasn't their first album came out. It was the self-titled, just called The Doors. It was recorded late in 66 and it was released in early 67. And we're going to go ahead and look at that right off the bat here. Let me get that out. In fact, self-titled The Doors, their first album released in 1967. Okay, what do I got to do to get some of the glare off of this? Let's see. Well, maybe I'll take the vinyl sleeve off. That'll help. Okay, so all right, let's see here. Okay, let's see if that helps. Okay, The Doors, self-titled album. This is just a great album. In fact, I'm gonna read the songs to you off the back of this album. Here's the back cover. Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison was a little bit of a wild and crazy guy. He was arrested for a number of different things. We'll get into that in a minute. Okay, so let's look at the songs on the back of the self-titled album. Side 1, we've got Break On Through to the Other Side. I love that song. That's a great song. So, also on side 1, song 2 is Soul Kitchen, The Crystal Ship. And this is what I used to call my wife when we first got married, 20th Century Fox. She's a 20th Century Fox. I used to call Betty that all the time. It was kind of a joke between us. And then song number 5 is Alabama Song. And song number 6, in fact, it's playing in the other room as we speak, Light My Fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. And that was one of their biggest hits, actually, Light My Fire. That's a great song. Okay, then we go to side number 2 on their self-titled debut album, released in early 67. I think it was January 67. And it was actually produced in a Hollywood studio, this album was. Okay, so side number 2 starts out Backdoor Man. I Looked at You, End of the Night, Take It As It Comes, and a song that it's hard to explain. This next song has a powerful effect on me. I think it was probably this next song called The End has probably been in about every war movie that has ever been made since this album was produced. I think it was a Platoon and some of the others. This is the end, da-da-da, the only end, my friend. It's just the haunting lyrics. Oh my God, I absolutely love that song. I can listen to that song, The End, over and over again. It's just a great song. This whole album, every one of their albums, I can't say enough about the Doors. They're fantastic. So I'm going to pull the vinyl out. Got a little surprise there. And I want to encourage everybody to stay for the finale. We're not going to try to drag the show out and make it last an hour and a half. We'll try to get through it a little quicker. I'd rather have people watch the whole show than drop in for 10 or 15 minutes and leave. So I'd like to get to the finale. The finale is a very special album to me. It's not It's not new. It's not colored. It's not 180 grain vinyl like so much of the new stuff that's out there right now. It's an original pressing. It's a Doors original pressing, and you've got to stay for the finale. It's just a fantastic, fantastic album. So we're gonna pull this out of the sleeve, nice clean sleeve, and we're looking at red vinyl, the Doors self-titled album in red vinyl. And I don't have to show this too much. Of course, it's brand new. I have played it. I've played both sides once. I've been saving it for the show. But Elektra was pretty much their label, Elektra, and yeah, just fantastic songs on this album. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the sleeve and set it aside. We'll talk for a bit about the Doors. Okay, I mentioned they released their first like demo, six song demo on acetate, and those are very, very collectible. Like I said, sold for $3,650. That 6-song demo on eBay recently, and I'm sure they're just continuing to go up. Okay, so the Doors were a great band. Jim Morrison was, I'll be the first person to admit, Jim Morrison was a crazy, sometimes out of control guy. He got arrested in Miami for indecent exposure, and the whole case hinged on whether or not he did really show his genitals to 10,000 people in the audience. That's what he was being accused of doing, showing his genitals to 10,000 people in the audience in Miami. Okay, in Miami, of all places. And that happened in 69. In 67, he was also arrested. It was just a wild, reckless individual. He was arrested on stage in 67, And so anyway, he did a lot of crazy things. I think toward the end of his career, shortly before he died young. He moved to England and never came back and wound up dying over there of an apparent heroin overdose. And I've heard a lot of wild stories over the years. People like Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, as strange as it may sound today, they were considered spokesmen for the counterculture. Those of us, people my age that were growing their hair long and doing things that, flipped our parents out. But anyway, we were the counterculture. It was like there was no Republicans, there was no Democrats. It was the establishment, and there was us. And they hated us, and we hated them back. I mean, that's just the way it was back then. The establishment and us. It was the counterculture. We were going against all the norms. And people, like I said, people like Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix were considered leaders of the counterculture. In fact, you've probably heard that during the Nixon administration, they made pot, marijuana. I think it was called a Class A or a Class 1 drug. Anyway, they put weed in the same category as heroin. Why would they do something so insane? Because all the leaders, Rubin and all these leaders of the counterculture, they all smoked weed. And so the Nixon administration decided if they could make the penalties harsh enough for being in possession of marijuana, they could put all these leaders of this counterculture movement, they could put them all into prison because they knew they all got high. So anyway, so some of these musicians, there's always been rumors that some of them were actually murdered. I had a friend, Johnny, he's a hell of a musician, local musician, and he thought Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and maybe even Janis Joplin were all, murdered by our own government. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I believe that, but there's a lot of rumors like that just because of what was going on in the times that these people were so influential. If you can imagine somebody on stage in front of 10,000 people at a concert in Miami showing his genitals being influential, but they were spokespeople for the counterculture. It was as crazy as it sounds. So anyway, so that was a self-titled album. Some of my favorite songs are on that. And we're going to go ahead. Let me take a quick look at the chat, say hi to a few folks. Kind of hard to keep track of everything at once. There's Jeff Davidson. Pull his schlong out and wave it in their face. Okay. Yeah. I absolutely believe that, actually. Okay, Daddy Boggs. Might be too late for tonight. I'll check it out probably tomorrow. Oh, okay. Caitlin. Oh, smart one. Jeff, Caitlin. Let me just see who's hanging out with us here, folks. Don't want to ignore my people here. Julia exposed himself on stage more than once. He was kind of famous for doing that. 2 hours long. Okay, Alexis Stover. Hi, Papa. My granddaughter Alexis. Love you, Lexi. That's Yoko's daughter, my oldest granddaughter. She was born while her parents lived at my house. She had her first birthday living in my house. They moved out. Helped them build a home. I'm a building contractor. And then they moved back when we were building their second home. And Alexis was born living at our house and had her first and second birthdays living in our house. And I just love my granddaughter. She just graduated from Chico State. She's doing very, very well. In fact, she's even, as a little side job, she's an insurance underwriter. As a little side job, she's making all of this stuff. I keep this right here on my desk at all times. My granddaughter makes this stuff. I mean, it could be all kinds of different shapes and sizes. Some even look like mason jars. But I've seen some of the stuff she's made. Linda Foster, she made her a Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, and Oy vey, she made him, a kiss mug. And so there's just, Alexis does a fantastic job. This sits here with my whole vinyl collection at all times. So if you want to have something really cool like that made, it's my granddaughter, Alexis. I don't know how easy this is to read anymore, but you can contact me. This is erasable, so it's been kind of coming undone. It's ACS Custom Creations by Alexis Stover, and I'll be happy to hook you up with the address and stuff like that. So anyway, so we got Boggs is here, Caitlin's here, the apple of my eye, my granddaughter Alexis is here, Julia, Jeff, of course. Thank you, Jeff. Daddy Boggs, Jeff. Yeah. So anyway, the crowd is gathering. We're going to keep it going. Just the facts. Dan, how you doing, buddy? Love you, man. Okay. So let's see. So yeah, right on. Yeah. The crowd is gathering. This is great. Okay. So I'm going to move right to the next album. And please, if you can, stay for the finale. I love all these albums, and to me, there's something special about the last one. I felt fortunate I found it. There's not many like it that are easy to come by anymore. And I really, really love this one. This is Strange Days, okay? There's kind of a circus type thing going on the front. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pull this. This has never been opened. I mean, this is a true unboxing here. But I've got to get this plastic off it. I don't care if I destroy it, taking it off. They make some nice new sleeves now you can buy. They're not very expensive. But this stuff just really, really reflects the light here. Of course, nothing's ever easy for me, I'm like turning this into like a real job over here. All right, let's get the cellophane wrapper off of this thing. Hopefully it'll look a little better now. Okay, you got the strong man there. And it's just on YouTube. These characters are all moving around and doing things. The video is circulating on YouTube right now. This is really, I mean, these songs. Oh my God, this is absolutely great song. Strange Days. This was also 1967. Their self-titled album was released in 67, produced in 66. This was also released in 67. So this was back to back with the first album. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull it out of the cover. Oh, God, don't scare me like that. What do we have here? I don't even know. I mean, I'm just opening this for the first time. I've got a little booklet here. Let's take a look at that. Oh, no, that's kind of a trip. It's actually a double sleeve. This sleeve has pictures on it. This one's just kind of plain Jane, So here we have, here we have the gang. There's Jim Morrison, good-looking guy. Lived a charmed life. They made a movie about him. I never got to see the Doors in concert. I did see Doors impersonators called Wild Child. And I probably shouldn't tell this story. We were at this club in San Luis Obispo, and I love the Doors. So these guys came to town. A friend of mine said he'd seen them before, and they were pretty good. And the guy came out, and he looked just like Jim Morrison. the hair. I mean, he looked at, and he sang just like him too. It was really a good show. And so I'm standing there watching the show, and I'm standing there watching the show, and people are starting to dance and everything, you know. And so I look over, and some guy's standing like about this far behind my wife, doing all this bumping and gyrating and dancing and stuff. And at first I looked over, I laughed, you know, funny guy, you know, having a little fun. He's not touching her or anything, you know. And I looked over again, and he, you know, several minutes had gone by, and he's still standing real close and bumping and grinding and stuff. And you know, and I don't do stuff like this very often. I'm not that kind of a guy. But all of a sudden, it just started hitting me wrong, like I was being disrespected. You know what I'm saying? And, and so I turned towards him with both hands. I pushed him. I didn't hit him. I just pushed him as hard as I could. And he kind of slid across the dance floor, you know, in front of everybody, you know. He got up with his fists doubled up and came racing straight at me. And I was just standing there, you know, ready to, you know, get down with some chingazos, you know what I'm saying, Henderson style. And all of a sudden he stopped right in front of me, and we stared at each other a little bit out of range. And I don't let anybody get too close when they're that pissed off. And he hits you quicker than you can blink. So anyway, he stopped, and we stopped, and we stood there and we looked at each other for a minute. And he just drifted off into the crowd. But it was like I had eyes in the back of my head for the rest of the night, because I didn't know him. I'd never seen him before. He might have been there with 20 guys. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, nothing ever happened. I just I don't know what got into me. Like I said, I felt like I was being disrespected. I just shoved him. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on to one of my favorite albums. You know, Strange Days. This has just fantastic songs on it, and the first one is Strange Days. And we've got all the songs and all the lyrics right here on the back of this double cover. And you don't see these double covers very often. Then the second song is You're Lost, Little Girl. And this song I love. I can kind of play the intro of it. I haven't played it lately. I was going to practice the last couple of days when I knew I was going to do the Doors, and maybe even play it. But Love Me Two Times. I absolutely love that song, you know. Love me two times, baby. Love me twice today. Love me two times, girl, 'cause I'm going away. Love me two times, girl. Once for tomorrow and once just for today. Love me two times. I'm going away. Can't sing, but I know the lyrics. But I do love this song. Love Me Two Times is one of my favorite Doors songs. Then we have Unhappy Girl, Horse's Latitude, Moonlight Drive. Oh man, there's such good ones here. People Are Strange. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out of the rain. Enough of that. Okay, next song, My Eyes Have Missed You. I can see your face in my mind. And I really love this song. This song is a lot like the song on the self-titled album, The End, which you pretty much hear in every Vietnam era movie, you know, The End. It's really a haunting song. And this reminds me of that, when the music's over, you know, when the music's over, turn out the lights, right? I mean, the music is your special friend, dance on fire as it intends. Music is your special friend until the end. Anyway, I love this song, man. I mean, this in the end, Love Me Two Times. These songs are just amazing. Okay, so let's take a look at the vinyl. Once again, Elektra Records. And this is, what I like about this is it's mono. You don't see that many new albums. Remember, I just unboxed this one. I just took the cellophane off. I haven't even taken it out yet. 180 grain vinyl. And this is a mono, not a stereo, but a mono version of The Doors' "Strange Days," and I could just feel the extra weight in the extra thickness. It's not flimsy at all. It's dense, and of course it's brand new. It was just taken out. Just taken out. Okay. And the Doors are fantastic. I just love this band. Just fantastic. A mono version on Elektra, the Doors. It came out in 1967. So anyway, in the chat there, what is your favorite Doors song, anybody? Somebody tell me a favorite Doors song, please. I want to hear what you guys like. I like that Riders on the Storm, too. Me and my friend, 1718, left Las Vegas on a trip to Mexico, driving in his little Volkswagen Bug, and it seemed like we listened to Riders on the Storm all the way down. It's just great. That song is burned into my memory from that trip to Mexico. Okay, we're going to go ahead and set this down. And I think the Vinyl Unicorn would like to make one more appearance before the show's over. Okay, this is Monroe, the Vinyl Unicorn. Integral part of the vinyl show. This is our vinyl show. This show is for people that, well, number one, love music, but in particular, love vinyl albums. I love vinyl. I can't get enough of it anymore, And I didn't have a lot of luck with vinyl when I was a kid. I remember buying 2 brand new ones, bringing them home, and they were both scratched. Both scratched and skipping after I just taken them out of the package. But I really handle this stuff with care now. I've got my own secret cleaning solution. I made my own secret cleaning solution, and I put it in my Boo Boo Records spray bottle. I bought some from them initially when I bought my Audio Technica 120, record player there, and they sold me a little bottle of it. Told me I could bring it back for $3 and they'd refill it. But I made like a giant jar of it for probably $3. I'll unfill this 20 times. Pretty simple stuff, really. Anyway, so we're doing all that. We're keeping the vinyl clean. We're handling it carefully, trying not to drop it, taking care of it. And we love the vinyl. We absolutely look at Monroe. She's looking at my albums over here. Look at that, Mo. Which one do you like? Look at that. Which one do you like, Mo? Okay. Moe wants back in her bed, her favorite spot. She'll sleep up there some nights. She just loves it up there so much. Right now, I think she wants down, though. Come here, Mo. Come here, baby. Go see Mom. She'll take your unicorn costume off for you. Okay, so let's see. What do we have in the chat here? I was looking at you. Whistles. Daddy Boggs likes L.A. Woman. I like that song, too. That's a great song. Just the Facts, Riders on the Storm. I was just talking about my trip to Mexico with Steve Rothstein. We listened to Riders on the Storm all the way to Mexico from Las Vegas. Touch Me, Babe is a favorite of mine by Caitlin. Just hearing you guys say this stuff, it's like, it just reminds me, like, I love every single one of these songs. Let me see if I missed something up above here. This is great. Jeff, people are strange. That's an understatement. Jeff says people are strange is an understatement. Caitlin says, I agree, Jeff. I love that. Just the Facts. Jim Morrison's father, Admiral Morrison. I remember you talking about him. Just the Facts. You knew him. He was your commanding officer. So it was my admiral when I was in the Navy stationed in Guam in the 70s. I watched a video earlier today of Jim Morrison's father talking about him, how he graduated. They had high hopes for him. His dad just thought it was ridiculous when his son called him and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going on the road with the rock band." He was thinking, "What the hell is he talking about?" Yeah, that's right. I remember, Dan, Just the Facts. I remember you telling that story, when you were unboxing some vinyl, I think it was. My dad. Okay. Jeff, in my day, the 45 would come out, then the album. Yeah, Daddy Boggs. That's right. Huh? We had tons of 45s at home. I wish I had them all now. I mean, we have Beatles and Elvis. And anyway, so let's go on down. Okay, so Julia, people are strange. This evening when I went shopping, lady kept staring at me at the gas station. People are strange. That's a fact. Okay, so all right, we're going to move on to the finale. And I felt very fortunate when I found this. Um, I haven't seen one of these, an original pressing, in a long, long time, you know. And they're out there, of course. They probably made a zillion of them, but I've never had one. And so when I came across this, I got real excited. And it wasn't cheap. It wasn't like one of the normal albums at this place where I go buy used vinyl. There's a place in Paso Robles, like 9 miles from here. And they've got these, it's actually an antique store with a lot of great antiques, biggest antique store in the area. And there's huge sections in there of vinyl. And there's like 3 different distributors that come in at least once a week, and they'll go check their area and replace a bunch of stuff. And I've been surprised at the things I've found there. This wasn't a normal priced item, you know, because you can get some stuff in there for, you know, $15. And I'm talking, I have never pulled a single vinyl out that wasn't pristine. They're all good. They don't leave anything in there unless it's excellent. And a lot of good stuff. I mean, I find, well, Doors, Stones, Rod Stewart, you name it. They're well stocked in there, you know. So this one is a favorite of mine. Morrison Hotel. Look at that. Morrison Hotel. Rooms, $2.50 down there at the bottom. Morrison Hotel. Isn't that a great album cover? When I saw this, I just about went crazy. It was actually sitting in there in this antique store for sale. Then on the back side, you know, got the old building, old town. What does it say back here? Hard Rock Cafe. Hard Rock Cafe cocktails, old tap. Okay. Morrison Hotel, The Doors, Hard Rock Cafe. Music by The Doors, Jim Morrison vocals, Robbie Krieger guitar, Ray Manzarek piano and organ. Now, if you're a Doors fan, you know how prominent the organ is in these Doors songs. I mean, to me, it's the dominant instrument, and these are just great, you know, keyboard songs. Okay, and then of course Johnny Densmore on drums. Then we had Ray Neapolitan bass. Lonnie Mack played bass on Roadhouse Blues and on Maggie. Yeah, different people come in and play on different songs. Let's see, Roadhouse Blues, produced by Paul Rothchild, engineered by Bruce Botnick, and the cover was designed by Gary Burden, photography by Henry Diltz. So this is just a fantastic album. I really like this one. And it starts out side 1, song 1, Roadhouse Blues. And that's just oh man, that is one fantastic song, Roadhouse Blues. It's just really, really good. Waiting for the Sun. That's a huge hit. Roadhouse Blues and Waiting for the Sun, back to back, big songs. Oh, I see Linda's here. Hi, Linda Foster. How are you? Glad you could make it. I know we're all busy. You know, it's so easy. I was supposed to go to a meeting my first CREA meeting, California Real Estate Inspection Association, which I was the past president of. We haven't had one since COVID. It's been like, 15, 16 months. And so one of the members said he'd throw it at his house. He'd have a barbecue, wanted the head count. I said, yeah, count me in. I'd love to go. I didn't think about it till 2 days after it passed. I mean, people get busy. These things aren't, the most important thing in your mind to do. But sometimes you just plan on doing something and it just goes right by you. So, okay, so we had Roadhouse Blues, Waiting for the Sun, You Make Me Real, Peace Frog. Where did that name come from? Blue Sunday and Ship of Fools. Blue Sunday, then Ship of Fools. And that's side 1. Then on side 2, it's funny, side 1 is actually called Hard Rock Cafe. It says side 1, Hard Rock Cafe. Then it says side 2, Morrison Hotel. I'd never really seen the sides separated with their own names like that, So on the Morrison Hotel side 2 is Land Ho, song number 1. The Spy, song number 2. Indian Summer is song number 3. And Maggie McGill is song number 4. So those are the songs on Morrison Hotel. Okay, we've got to pull the vinyl out now. But first of all, I love this. This is a gatefold. This look at Jim in the middle there with the bear in his hand, Jim Morrison. This is a really great band here. You know, sadly, Jim Morrison died. Let me get this out of the way over here. July 3rd, 1971, of an apparent heroin overdose. So he lived a well. We'll finish the album first, and we'll talk a little bit, and maybe you guys have got some topics you want to share. Anyway, so there's the gatefold. You know, there's the gatefold on Morrison Hotel. I was really happy. I saved this for the finale. I mean, I had colored vinyl. I had 180 gram vinyl. The other one, Strange Days. Both with just great songs. I mean, I can't even pick a favorite album between the three. I like them all equally. But this was an original pressing. You know, those two are. Well, you saw me take the cellophane off both of them. The self-titled Doors with the red vinyl, and the 180 gram Strange Days. You know. But this was an original pressing. This made this one special to me. A lot of times, if I'm unboxing and one of the albums is colored or a picture album or something like that, that kind of sometimes gives it precedence to be the finale, you know. But the unboxings, they're tough to beat. The unboxings of the original pressings, I mean. And this is it, Elektra. And like I said, this place that I've been getting some of my used vinyl, I have never found one that didn't look absolutely perfect. You know, everything in there is just beautiful. The condition is just amazing. You know, these are really in clean condition. Yeah. This is funny. The Alexa out there is playing, you know, music, and it's playing Doors music, and I'm sitting here looking at Roadhouse Blues, and it just started playing out in the other room. Yeah. Okay. So this is a great album. So anyway, what do we got going here? Yeah, hit the like button, everybody, please. I had a lot of trouble. I won't say a lot of trouble. I really enjoyed the live show last week, but there was a lot of likes and a lot of thumbs up before the show even ended. And then when I put it into my playlist, that kind of all disappeared. It might have been a mistake I made, but all that disappeared. So it's like 25 or 30 likes went away, a whole bunch of thumbs up went away. So I finally get into my playlist. I'm starting with a clean slate. And then it really took off. I mean, the last two shows I did, you know, we had, you go back 2 weeks, you had Eric Clapton, and then the last one was Aerosmith. Well, that was a week ago, and Eric Clapton was 2 weeks ago. It only took like 3 days before I had more views than either one of those. In fact, it just raced right past Aerosmith. They were both at like 120, 130. And before the night was over, the live show from last week, Aerosmith. Yeah, I got that confused a second ago. That last week didn't pass Aerosmith. Last week was Aerosmith. But Aerosmith and one of the other unboxings the week before were even at around 125. And before the night was over, the Aerosmith live unboxing was like at 165. And then oddly enough, I woke up the next morning and the views had dropped down to 120 again, and then went back up, you know, before the day was over to 140 something. So I don't know what's going on. I actually complained to YouTube that, you know, they were taking away views and all this stuff, and they came back and said, well, it's probably just temporary. They'll add back on, but they haven't yet. So yeah, whatever. It is what it is. You know, we'll see what happens this time. Maybe it'll work out better. Okay, Daddy Boggs is calling somebody double trouble. Lexi liked and shared on Facebook. Thanks, Alexis. My number one granddaughter right there. My oldest granddaughter. Love that girl. Once again, every time I see her name, I got to show off her little side job. She's an insurance underwriter. She graduated from Chico State. But she's just having a ball making stuff like that. I mean, Linda Foster got A Dark Side of the Moon, and Oive got, you know, a Kiss Kiss One made, and she's been made Gloria. She made something for Gloria. She's been making this stuff for everybody, and everybody really. These lids are really nice too. It's something you can put something hot or cold in, and take it with you. And it's got a nice lid. That's got a nice rubber gasket around the outside, and it seals very, very well. So she does a great job on those. Okay, Caitlin, who's Double Trouble? Stares at Gloria. No idea what he's talking about. I have that album, Dan, and you're right. Okay, just the facts. The worst album the Doors ever made was their last album, Other Voices Without Jim. Dan, you just brought up a great point. From what I understand, the Doors continued for like 3 years after Jim Morrison died. And they produced a couple of albums. Dan's referring to one of them as their worst album, which without even hearing it, without Jim Morrison's voice, where do you go with that? But I understand that they took some old tapes, that had not songs that had been released, and they actually tried to put some Jim Morrison stuff together on some of the albums. But I haven't heard any of those albums that were released after he died. When he died, to me, it was over. I mean, some voices, some people, not just the voice, but the whole stage presence, you just can't replace them, and every once in a while, though, I told you I went to a Doors impersonator concert, Wild Child, and that guy may have worked out for a couple of albums. That guy looked and sounded just like him. Yeah. That's right, Linda. Harold had a Leon Russell cup made. I remember the very first wax competition show I was on. I produced a really old Leon Russell, Asylum, I think it was called. I was a big fan of Leon Russell. And that was really cool that Harold likes Leon Russell and had a Leon Russell cup made by Alexis. That's awesome. Okay, so what do we got here? Thank you, Linda. Lexi is a lovely girl. Okay, Harold got a Leon. JB thought, JB, how you doing, buddy? Hey, Miss Gloria. You gonna come to see me perform a song or two? I'm gonna come see you perform. You just got to make it out here to California, and I'll be there. I'll give you a place to stay and feed you. Okay, JB. All right, Caitlin Stoddard. That's awesome, JB. Daddy Boggs. Gave someone, not mentioning names, the last prayer. Gloria, JB. This is great, man. Thank you guys all for coming out. This is the vinyl show. For vinyl lovers, we all love vinyl. Hey, Caitlin, I got to give a shout out to Caitlin. I haven't seen it yet, but Caitlin did her first show last night, like a podcast type. Or I don't know if it's a podcast, but and she invited me on, and we sat there, we talked for a couple of hours, and got to know each other and stuff like that, and talked about music and albums and our lives, and I really enjoyed it. So Caitlin Stoddard, everybody be on the lookout. She's going to be looking for people to watch her show. I mean, there's a lot of shows, and I know Just the Facts will probably be getting, fired back up before long, and putting a lot of stuff on his. And that'll be fantastic. I can't wait to see Caitlin. I can't wait to see Dan, Just the Facts, doing his thing on his show. And the community is just going to keep growing. We can all help each other and support one another. And my younger brother Richard. He's one of the funniest guys I ever met. He's got the infectious laugh. He'll tell a story and he'll laugh. He'll make a comment and he'll laugh. And everybody in the room laughs. If it was anybody else, you wouldn't even think it was funny, but it's always funny coming from him. So he's working on some things too. His show's a little more faith-based. He found religion the last year or so, and he needed to really. I mean, he'd been a musician his whole life, and he lived the lifestyle that went with it. And lots of stories, lots of crazy stories, and it's funny. You growing up in Henderson, Nevada, just outside of Vegas, You go see a band play, the local bands. I had a bunch of friends that were all in bands. My brother played with a bunch of guys my age in different bands, and he was also offered a job with Wayne Newton. But him and his wife had the Eddings duo. They were getting written up by the biggest entertainment writer in Vegas at the Review Journal, which was the big paper. His name was Forrest Duke. He'd say, well, Frank Sinatra's over here, and then Elvis is going to be playing over here, and Don Rickles is now with the Sahara. Oh, and by the way, there's a must-see duo, the Eddings duo, and that was my brother and his wife, Jackie. She had the most fantastic voice. I've never heard a female voice like hers. I swear to God, you went in there to watch them play, and it was almost like the sound was coming out of the walls. I mean, I've never experienced anything quite like it. Her voice was just off the charts. They had a great thing going, and then something happened to the marriage, and it didn't work out, and that was too bad, because my parents were convinced they were the next Donnie and Marie Osmond. I think they were convincing me too, because they were really, really good. Anyway, so you play in bands back there. Before you know it, there's shots, beers and shots on your amplifier. Before you finish a song, there's 3 shots and 2 beers waiting for you, And this goes on all night long. Then break time comes around, and somebody goes, "Hey, Rich, I got such and such. Let's go out in the parking lot, during the break." And so when they finally get off at 2 a.m, they never go to bed. They finally get home at like 6 a.m., crash, and wake up in time to go do it again. And this was his lifestyle for I don't know, 35 years. He lived like that. So he's in a better place now, and I think his show is gonna wind up being funnier than it may seem. He's got a couple of episodes out. He's got episode 1, and he wanted to correct a bunch of things he'd said. And so he came out with an episode 2 to correct the things he said in episode 1. And but he's getting ready to go on the road. I mean, he wants to go to like homeless encampments and all these different places and interview people, and try to help people. And I think that's going to be kind of interesting, getting out and going places. I mean, there's a lot of these shows. I've watched several of them where people are actually getting paid to take vacations. This one couple, what are they called? Tangerine Travels or something. This guy and his wife, they travel all over Mexico, and they'll do a show, and they'll post it, so people can watch it. And like 8 hours have gone by, and they've got 18,000 views. And there's a few travel shows like that. Guys traveling all over the world and basically to do it, because they've got such a big following, and kind of a Days of Jordan the Lion type of following. Jordan's the same way. He'll put something on, and there'll be like 12,000 views before the day's over. And he does very well. It's all he does. That's his livelihood. And anyway, whatever. We're having fun. I hope the rest of you are having fun. I like watching the shows. I always like Dan's show. I'm looking forward to Caitlin's. Looking forward to see what my brother does. I remember I was talking to Michael Oive one time. I can't stop calling him Oive. I go, you and Pat had such fantastic chemistry. When they left the show, it was like I felt like there was a hole in my chest, And I said, you guys ought to just make a show. You guys have great chemistry together. You guys are very, very entertaining. And I think Oive said they had talked about it, So that would be fun too, to see those guys doing their thing. I loved Oive and the Wizard. They were great, The Wizard making certain little noises, as a reaction to something and everything like that. But they're very entertaining. It was a fun part of that show, Anyway, so let's see. We got JB Tharp, Caitlin Stoddard. Were you at ? They were, Julia, says Caitlin. Julia, Michael and Pat were great. I couldn't agree more. I mean, they were a big part of the show for me. I mean, I really looked forward to seeing them cut up and stuff. I mean, I loved watching it. Just the facts. I also plan on visiting Video Bob in Vegas. Oh, okay. And might do a show with him. Now, is that the same one Jordan the Lion did a show with a couple of months back? I'm not sure if it was Video Bob. It sounds familiar though. Jordan bought a house in Florida. Thank you. He's not telling everybody where he bought it. Or at least he said that in some earlier shows. He's not going to tell people, he doesn't want, traffic and stuff like that. But anyway, so let's see. Linda Foster, I have fun. Lucky to have us all. I agree, Linda. I love you all. Linda, you've been so great. Love you all. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. So yeah, okay. There's a little something cooking there that they're not quite talking about yet. We'll see. It's obviously it's going to be a new show, and obviously we're all going to know the participants, and that's great. I look forward to that. Caitlin, I live in Greenlee, Colorado, and the theater is called the Moxie. The theater has Moxie. Good. Just the facts. Yes, Caitlin, JB. Yes, we did a show with Video Ball. Yes, he did it. Yeah, I saw that one. I think they were at a house he was looking at to buy or something like that. I can't remember. There was a swimming pool out back. Maybe it's the house he did buy. I'm not sure. You never know who you will see with the new show. Yeah, no, you never know. You never know. I mean, and who thought there was going to be a vinyl unicorn? Monroe. Who would have ever thought there would be a vinyl unicorn? Caitlin, I will look it up. Thanks. Jeff Davidson, I need to start a show. Yes, you do. Yeah. And your claim to fame is like kicking my butt on a vinyl show. I never won one, Okay. Anytime. This is great. I'm just enjoying watching you guys chat, I'm glad to be able to give you a forum to chat at, and have fun. Totally, Jeff. Jeff, I need to start a show. Yeah, you need to start a show. I mean, what else have we got to do? Let's have shows. So anyway, like I said, Caitlin, I don't know where your show's at. I haven't seen it published or anything to where I could watch it and see how it turned out. Royce, you're the best. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. That's my wife used to say things like that, Anyway, where's the baby tonight? Are you talking about the vinyl unicorn? She was here. I introduced her at the beginning of the show. Then she looked a little restless, so I brought her back up here and we talked with her for a while. And then she was standing up staring at the ground. So I decided, maybe she wants to go out and see Betty. Thank you, Royce in the house. You missed it, but your son-in-law could learn from you. Well, thank you, JB. I appreciate that. You missed it, but your son-in-law could learn from you. Well, whatever you're referring to, I mean, I really appreciate hearing you say that. I tried to teach him a few things. We actually got along well in the beginning, to be perfectly honest with you. We were both big UFC fans, Conor McGregor fans. We'd get together, up at Stephen and Amber's. We'd smoke a cigar. We'd have a couple of beers. We'd watch the UFC fights, eat together and stuff. And then we were both big fans of Sons of Anarchy, the motorcycle show. I think that may be my all-time favorite TV show, Sons of Anarchy. Now they have the Mayans, which is kind of in a post-Jack setting, and there's some guest appearances by Sons of Anarchy members and stuff. It's not the same. I mean, it's good. I do like it. And they're supposed to do an actual third show, Sons of Anarchy Mayans. And this was going to be a prequel. It's going to go back to when Jax was a little kid and his dad started the motorcycle club, And I hope they actually follow through and do that. I think that would be fun to see. But anyway, Steph and I were both huge fans of Sons of Anarchy. And Royce, it is on my YouTube, and it will premiere tonight at 9:30 your time. Oh, thank you. Okay, so Caitlin's show that she did last night, and she had me on, and we talked for a while, quite a while actually, and about many different things: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, vinyl. And so that's going to be on tonight on her YouTube channel at 9:30. Thank you, Caitlin. So anyway, like I was saying, me and my son-in-law, we're doing things together. We're constantly having, dinners at one house or the other, things like that. And he loves Sons of Anarchy. He wanted to get a Harley so bad. And I've owned 4 or 5 Harley Davidsons in my lifetime. Um, 2013, I sold my last two, unfortunately. Bad recession. I'd been building subdivisions, and it didn't turn out real well at the end there in the recession. And so I wound up selling my bikes, and I feel the pain of that on a daily basis. I mean, I've gone all over the place. I've traveled to Sturgis, South Dakota. I went on the Laughlin River run every year, up and down the state of California. I mean, my wife and I did 3,500 miles in 7 days, a Sturgis trip, and all the riding was done in 5 days. We got to Deadwood City, next to Sturgis, and fortunate enough that they opened up a section of the campground that they don't normally open. And so we got a campsite of about a $29 Walmart tent on the way to Sturgis. Waited till we got to Provo, Utah, and bought it. And we got to Deadwood City, set the tent up, and a trolley car came up and picked everybody up that wanted to go into town. And unbeknownst to us, every single building downtown was a casino. I had no idea. You'd walk into something that looked like a drugstore, and you'd walk through a little door in the back, on the back wall, and you step into a frickin' casino. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, the Indians own South Dakota, so they've got their tribal lands. Every store in Deadwood City is a casino, regardless of what it says on the storefront. It might be a cigar store, but the last 2/3 of it is a casino. And so this just really blew my mind. My wife and I kind of like to play the slots a little bit. So I started playing a quarter machine. I hit a $500 jackpot. It was just crazy. And some locals walked in, and it was one of those jackpots that's shown the size of it and stuff. And they just said, "Oh my God, we've been playing it every day," because we knew it was getting close to hitting. I walked in. I probably put $5 in and hit $500 jackpot on a quarter machine. So that was a good time, Anyway, so that's I've got. I don't want to talk too much about motorcycles. Talking about my son-in-law got me off track here, because I have a unboxing show that part of which has to do with motorcycles, and that's what I want to tell a few Harley Davidson stories. So anyway, Stefan wanted a Harley Davidson, so he'd never ridden a motorcycle his whole life, and so he took the class at the DMV to learn how to motorcycle ride. And sadly, I mean, I really felt bad for him. They kicked him out of the class. He was holding the whole class up. He just couldn't do anything on a motorcycle. So I felt bad, and I got a friend that's got a little dirt track at his house. He even had dirt bikes over there, a little Honda 100 that I had. I had a 100, I had a 200, and I had my Yamaha 426, and then a dirt bike. And you talk about a beast. I mean, you just roll on the throttle and you're on one wheel. I mean, I used to come home just bleeding everywhere every time I went out. Then I finally started getting used to it. But I had my street bikes too, and that was my first love, was street bikes. But that Yamaha 426 was a long way from my Yamaha Trail 80 when I was 13 years old. Anyway, so I wanted Stefan to learn how to ride a motorcycle, especially if I was going to be riding with him. So I took him to my friend's track. We got a little Honda out, little Honda dirt bike, and I said, "Stefan, it's really simple." I said, "It's the gears. This is the gear shifter. Not an automatic. You have to shift, and you one down. You push it all. You push the shifter pedal all the way down. You're in first gear. Now, once the engine starts winding up a little too loud, you pull in the clutch, let off on the throttle, and you pull that shift lever up. Now you went down into first gear. Now pull it up into second gear, and then if you get going too fast, pull in the clutch and shift up into third gear, and just let the clutch out easy. When you start slowing down, do just the opposite. Clutch in, go down a gear, clutch in, go down a gear. That'll just keep you from stalling the bike." Well, that's the short version. We spent a lot of time talking about this stuff, and he would take off, and it would be ram, 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 and you're winding it all the way up, and I was yelling, "Shift, Stefan, shift, pull in that clutch, shift." And then pretty soon the bike would stall. I'd go running down on the trail, and I'd say, No, Stefan, listen, man." Trying to be nice, not like, "You fucking idiot." Okay, listen, man. Okay. Pull in the clutch, right? Push it down in the first gear. Let the clutch out slowly. Give a little bit of gas. Lurches a couple of times and dies. 2 or 3 of those. That's normal. We've all done that. Even experienced riders, you can do that. Anyway, so finally, I got him to take off and go for a little ride, maybe 4 times. He never could learn how to shift. Stefan couldn't shift from first to second gear. And so finally he wound up buying a classic car and deciding not to get a motorcycle. And I'm sure it was for the best. I mean, we'd probably both be dead if he had a bike, because I would have went out and got another one. We'd be riding together, and that would have been dangerous. Anyway, so enough of that. We did have some good times. I don't know. You know, I won't say anymore. Anyway, so let's see what's going on in the chat. Jeff Davidson's laughing his ass off. Okay, is that the put him in a 250 first, Caitlin? Ha ha ha. Did Miss Gloria ever answer? She's probably. Thank you, Dan JB. All right, just a nice little chat going here. That's totally cool. So anyway, yeah, that was. I will get another Harley if it's the last thing I do. My wife says, "No, you're getting kind of old now." I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I mean, I'll wake up tomorrow. Let me not wake up because of my bike, I guess. You know, some people aren't made for motorcycles. That's right, Dan. Some people aren't made for motorcycles. You know, I feel fortunate because in Henderson, Nevada, you could have a motorcycle license at 14, and they called it up to a certain braking horsepower. You couldn't go out and buy a 1200 cc bike. But when your bike got to the speed limit, whatever the horsepower was producing, that was called the braking horsepower. So you could get something like some of you guys probably remember these, the old Yamaha Twin 100s. Those were a fast little bike. I mean, you go 65 miles an hour down the freeway, 14-year-old kid. And believe me, they were scraping them off the streets too. 14 was pretty young. I don't know that I could have bought any of my kids street bikes at 14. I'd have been scared to death. But we're also used to it back there. You know, before the Honda 50 came out, they had the Cushman Eagles, you know, and it looked like a cement mixer motor in them. But they were really cool bikes. And I noticed 4 or 5 years ago, they started reproducing new versions of them. They really look cool too. Cushman Eagles, the Cushman Trucksters. You'd have a friend with a truckster. Everybody would pile in the little, like a miniature pickup bed in the back. I think the top speed was probably 35 miles an hour. You know? But we were always go-karts, mini bikes, motorcycles, you name it. I mean, since we were walking, we were riding something. You know, I had go-karts, mini bikes. I had a little Yamaha when I turned 14. My brother went in the Army when I was 13 and left me his Honda 160, which was a big bike for a 13-year-old, you know. And I had a ball on that. We did so many things. I mean, Lake Mead, one of the largest man-made lakes in the world, was 9 miles from my house. You know, then you could ride into Las Vegas. You could go up to Boulder Dam, or through Boulder City, or you could get caught ditching school on your motorcycle. You could do all kinds of fun things. Get put on probation for it. Anyway, those things happened, believe it or not. It's hard to imagine. It might have happened to me, but yes. Between riding the motorcycles during class and playing pool at the Henderson Youth Center, I got in a little bit of trouble over those things. So anyway, never got to go riding with my son-in-law, and that was that. Okay, so let's see. Linda Foster, I used to have 4-wheelers. Yes, that's great. You know, oddly enough, one Christmas, I had my big Yamaha 426 dirt bike. I bought my wife a Yamaha quad, and I bought my granddaughter Alexis, who makes these cups I keep showing. I bought her for Christmas a brand new Yamaha quad. You know, I think it was like 300 cc's, and we'd all go out in the desert. You know, the Los Padres National Forest. You could just ride forever. You know, and people hunted out there too. You had to be a little careful. You know, people were shooting pigs and deer and birds and, you know, everything in the world. But it was a real popular place to go dirt bike riding too. People would take their trailers out there, and there were areas where you could camp, ride the bikes all day, come back and barbecue and drink beer and stuff. So a lot of fun times out there. But let's see. So what do we have here? Bill K. Bill, how you doing, buddy? Appreciate you dropping in, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing okay. Honda 90 for me. Yeah, Honda 90. Yeah, my brother had a 160, and I took it over when I was 13. But I remember the Honda 90, the S90s, and then the S90 Scramblers came out. And that was another bike you could have back in Vegas or Nevada. Back in Nevada at 14 years old, you could have the Yamaha was a Twin 100, and the Honda was the S90. The S being the faster version of the Honda 90. And then they had what they call them, Bill. They had what they call get kits or something like that. You could put in your Honda 90s and stuff that made them go a lot faster. Must have been cams and pistons and valves and stuff like that. But it made a big difference. They got real fast. I mean, the Honda 90 was a good bike. Yeah, we had a lot of fun on the motorcycles. That sounds like fun. It was fun. Let's see. Bill K. Hey, Caitlin. Bill K. Daddy Boggs. Yeah, the gang's all here, Bill. Hey, Bill, I'm really glad you joined the show. We've been having fun. Last week was the first live show. We had a couple of missed starts. I had this setting up here in this left column. I had it set on live. Well, unfortunately, it needed to be set on webcam, one click down. So when I did my tests, I had it on webcam and the test came out fine. But I was anticipating it being live, and I'd set a time for it to start. And I sat here, and when the time elapsed and it just kept buffering, I went, oh my God, what's going on here? And I didn't realize all I had to do was go from live to webcam, because I'm on a webcam here. You can't actually go live on YouTube unless you have 1,000 subscribers. Then they allow you to go live. Other than that, you have to have a webcam. And there's some other program you can download or something that helps you too. But the webcams have a built-in program, and so they will allow you to go live. But there's a little bit lost in the translation for when you go from your live show to what the public can go see later, because all these shows are available later, in my playlist, vinyl album unboxing, and they're all available there. But some of your stuff disappears. Some of your, not only mean the video doesn't disappear, but some of your views, some of your thumbs up. If you think about it, everybody throw a thumbs up in there. Some of that stuff disappears when you switch over. And so you kind of, you might have had 20, 25 views by the time the show is over. And then when you switch over to where people can watch the show, all the views just erased on me last time. I was starting again with 0. And then it built itself up within 3 days to like 165 views, which was the most I've ever had that fast. I woke up the next morning, 45 of them were missing again. And I don't understand it, And anyway, it is what it is. We're just having fun. It's another live show. Yeah, it's good to see you, Bill. Thank you very much. I really glad you dropped back in. Last time you were on, we were doing pre-recorded shows, and it was kind of fun because it gave me more time to interact with everybody in the chat. And it's hard to sit here and talk and stuff like that. And I keep stopping and looking at the chat. I'd like to be a part of it, And yeah, so I'm so sad. Jeff. Caitlin can't swim either. Well, I wasn't a great swimmer when I took up surfing, but thank God there's a leash attached to the board and wrapped around your ankle. You can always grab that leash and pull your board back. Every once in a while you grab that leash and pull and it's gone because your leash snapped. Your board's already up on the beach with holes in it, and you're like way offshore wondering how the hell you got so far out. You don't have a board with you now. Anyway, surfing's been a lot of fun though. I've really enjoyed it, and I've had some things. I've had some hold downs that went out on a big day. I just got back from Australia, and I was getting kind of cocky, thinking I could surf anything, right? And went out on a big day in Morro Bay, and the very first wave, I ate it. It crashed all over me. And pushes you down. You feel like you're in a washing machine, pitch black, and you're spinning and twirling, and your arms and legs are flailing, and all you can think about is seeing daylight again, right? And being able to breathe again. And it held me down, and it held me down, and it held me down, and I wasn't panicking. The time, it may have only been 10 seconds, but it starts to feel like it's been 2 minutes already, and you're really feeling like you'd appreciate a breath of air. And so I'm held down for the longest time. And all of a sudden I thought, I really can't hold my breath much longer. I don't even know which way is up. It's just black. And all of a sudden I start to see some light, and I'm like, thank God, I'm actually going to surface. And what happened is I got sucked into the next, wave. It's called sucked over the falls. I was only seeing light because I was in a wave. I never got to actually take a breath of air, and I got pounded by the same size wave. And that's when I said, I'm just going to have to relax and ride this out, because I was thinking before I thought I was going to surface, I don't have any air left. And now I've just started all over again. So when I finally got to the surface the second time, I looked up, and here comes the third big wave coming right down on my head. I took 2 or 3 gasps of air and tried to dive. If you can get below that turbulence, you know, like a lot of smaller waves is really easy. You get below it, you just see it go over the top of you and you come back up, you know. But I didn't get deep enough, and it grabbed me again and did the same thing again. And I tell you what, my leash snapped, my board was gone. It was one of those days where it was breaking out past Birdshit Rock in Morro Bay, which is way out there. And so it was a long way to shore. When I surfaced, I was just completely exhausted. And I finally got over to Morro Rock, was going to claw my way up to one of the trails, and a wave would come in, and it wasn't like getting hit by the wave out in the impact zone. It would just, the tide would rise way up, and I'd start climbing up on the rocks. The tide would boost me way up. Then all of a sudden, all the water would come back down and fill up my wetsuit. I looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy, and take me back down in. And this happened 4 or 5 times. And honest to God, I was getting absolutely exhausted. I finally made it up onto a little trail, you know, and I walked the little trail back onto the beach, and there was a crowd standing around my surfboard. It actually made a trip to the rocks too. Now, this is a surfboard I bought in Noosa Heads, Australia, carried it through 3 international airports, and never got a scratch on it. My first day out of my home break, my board's laying on the beach with holes in it, right? It just, I was so bummed out, you know. Excuse me. So anyway, that was my story. That was a great board. I still have the board. I still have most of the boards I've bought. I've sold a few, but I've had 4, 5, 6 at a time, and some I'll never part with. I have a board that Rabbit Kikai, one of the infamous Waikiki Beach Boys, that surfed with. Let's see, Rabbit surfed with the Duke Kahanamoku. He surfed with the Duke back in the day, you know. And when I met Rabbit, he was like well into his 70s, and a friend of mine was a friend of his, and the friend of mine lives in the neighborhood here. He'd make surfboards and give them to all the Beach Boys over there, you know, the regulars that have been around forever. And so they all knew Rick. And when I went to Waikiki, Rick called him and told him I was coming, and they were out taking me around. Well, here's where you hide your wallet when you're surfing. It'll be safe. We're all sitting around all day. And here's where you put your towel, and here's where you do this, and here's how you do that. And someone would walk up, oh, hey, you're Rick's friend. I'm like, yeah, you know, Rick. Oh, yeah, I got one of his boards, you know. And so I had a lot of fun doing that stuff. And I'm not even sure how I got onto surfing. Anyway, well, let's see. What's going on in the chat? Linda, does surfing the internet count? Yes, it does. It does. It's a hell of a lot safer, I think, you know. Yeah, surfing the internet counts. That's funny. I love that. Thanks. I surfed on the North Shore of Oahu. Huge waves. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went to the North Shore, and I was out there, you know. I saw, you know, Sunset Beach. I was there, you know, and inside it's called Velzy Land, named after, is it Dick Velzy? Yeah, I think so. Famous Hawaiian surfer. So there's a little area in front where the waves aren't as big, and that's called Velzy Land. So I started out in Velzy Land, and then there's a break called Chun's Reef, and that was a pretty big break. It was, you know, that was I paddled for a bunch of waves at Chun's Reef, but all the other guys were locals, and they were all Hawaiian guys, and they're all way better surfers than me. And I just, you know, I may have been able to force my way onto one of them, but if I boofed it and, you know, ran over somebody, or somebody ran over me, it'd be like, get the hell out of here. You know, what are you doing out here on our break? So I was kind of being respectful of the pecking order there. And well, I didn't have to be, really, because these guys are all so much better surfers than me. I mean, I would be surfing at places where little kids would go by, you know, 8 years old, 9 years old, and they're dancing on their boards, and they're running backwards on their boards, and they're dancing, and they're spinning around, and it's just like a big fun and game. And I'm like concentrating, you know, trying to stay on my board, but they're from a young age, they're just surfing like crazy over there. I mean, I really admired that. I mean, what a fun place to grow up and what a fun thing to do growing up. I grew up in the desert in Nevada, and we chased lizards and shit. It was fun. Anyway, we skateboarded. We skateboarded with skateboards that we would pull a metal skate apart, the two halves, take the little wing nut out that adjusted it and pull it off completely. And we would nail it onto a 2x4, maybe a 2x6. Maybe we'd find an old piece of rug and tack it on the top. And these were our original skateboards, you know, and we were pretty good on them too. You hit a little rock though. I mean, you flew like a bullet, you know. They didn't roll over rocks very well. But I was in a skateboard contest. I used to hang out at the Henderson Boys Club, and the Clark County Boys Club from Las Vegas came out and challenged us to a skateboard contest. And it was held at the elementary school that I went to. And there was a sidewalk that I don't know where it went, but it just went way up this hill and stopped. And then you know, stopped in the dirt, in the desert. What it was even there for. But that was the 100-yard speed race. You started at the top of that sidewalk up on this hill and came flying down to where everybody was waiting down below in front of the school building. And I won a first place ribbon in the 100-yard speed race. So the second contest was the 50-yard slalom. And like I said, me and my friends every night, we went down to what we called the big sidewalk in our subdivision. So you didn't have to walk all the way around the block. There was a big sidewalk, you know, the width of a couple of houses that went from one street to the next, right in the middle of the street. And all the streets were terraced. So there was like a big concrete sidewalk that rolled down. And then you have to try to make the turn onto the 3-foot sidewalks in either way. And you're flying really fast. And 90% of the time you tried to make the turn, you wound up out in the middle of the street. And every once in a while you made it. And that was pretty special. But we were pretty good on those steel wheel skateboards. And so I won a first place ribbon in the 100-yard speed dash. And I won a second place ribbon in the 50-yard slalom. And our Boy Scout, you know, leader got mad at me. He goes, "Royce, why did you stop pushing?" Because I went through all the, you know, the cones, and then I put my foot on the back and I just kind of coasted across the finish line. And I was like, you know, a split second off of first place. If I'd have just kept pushing with my foot, I would have won first place in the slalom also. So we got to do it twice. The second time I was bound and determined to get the first place ribbon, and I went too fast and the board came out from underneath me, and that was it. So I just got a first and a second, but we had fun doing that stuff. It wasn't the same as surfing. I would have been a surfer had I grown up near the coast in California for sure. So anyway, so what's going on, chat here? Okay, Bill started out in West Covina, and we used to go out to Seal Beach when we were kids. Oh, did you? Surfing in Seal Beach? Awesome. Yeah. You know, my wife, I met my wife in Long Beach, and we used to go to Seal Beach and Bolsa Chica Beach, and all these places around Long Beach, downtown Long Beach, you know, because we lived in North Long Beach. That's where we met, was in North Long Beach. And yeah, I remember all those beaches. West Covina, yeah. Seal Beach was a nice beach, very nice. Yeah, I used to go down there a lot. When I first moved to California, I had a Harley Sportster. It was my first Harley. This is right after getting off Hondas and Yamahas. And I think I was the first one of my group that actually graduated to a Harley. And I brought it with me to Long Beach. And I was just living on my unemployment. We had some jobs, don't get me wrong. We had some really Mickey Mouse jobs. We worked me and my two buddies from Henderson, Nevada, worked in a toilet factory, right? And that's where I first learned to pound nails, you know, and then later became a contractor. The toilet seats would come by, and I would have this mallet in my hand and these stoppers. And as a toilet seat went by on the assembly line, and without stopping it or slowing the assembly line down, I would drive the rubber stoppers into the lid so it didn't make noise when it hit. You know, I'd drive those stoppers in, and you hit it wrong, it'd fly off, and you'd have to try to get another one in. Didn't want to stop the assembly line, right? So that was a bitchin' job, you know, driving stoppers into toilet seats. And so that didn't last too long. We all got out of there in a hurry. We worked at another place, some plastics injection mold place that made little Mattel toys and stuff. They'd come out of the mold, and you'd have to trim them off, put them in boxes. And I was working too fast. So they kept bringing me more stuff to do. The smart thing to do is just take your time, just do it. Do what your machine could produce. But if you're working too fast, they find more stuff for you to do. So pretty soon I was doing all kinds of stuff. And then what was it? I had one more Mickey Mouse. I can't remember. I finally realized I could go on unemployment and make more money than I was making working. So every day, my routine was I woke up. My apartment had a one-car garage with it. And those were the good old days. $90 a month, two-bedroom apartment with a one-car garage in Long Beach. And I got up every morning, rolled my Harley Davidson out of the garage, and I took off, and I just cruised in and out of every beach city I could stop go through, in a day. I'd go through all of them, Newport, Huntington, Balboa. I mean, I'd go to all the beach towns, and hang out for a little while at each beach and stuff like that on my bike, and then make my way back home on Highway 1. But that was my daily routine when I moved to California. And it's interesting because Betty's mom and dad were the managers. Betty's dad was a millwright, and they set machinery and factories and stuff. And it was affiliated with the Carpenters Union. Actually tried to get me into the Carpenters Union when I started dating his daughter, actually the Millwrights Union. And I was somewhat mechanically inclined, I worked on cars since I used to tune my dad's car when I was 14 years old, change his brakes and things like that. Of course, working on the motorcycles all the time. But anyway, so her dad would come outside, and he was a mechanic and a welder. And every time he came out, I was in my garage, tightening things up on my bike, putting a part on or something. I was always missing one big socket or something, and he had everything, So he'd come out there, and we'd start talking and ask me what I was doing. And he was a mechanic and a welder, so he was always interested in what I was doing out there. And we'd talk, and we actually became friends. My wife's dad and I were friends before I was even really dating her, And I'd borrow his tools to work on my bike and stuff like that. Anyway, that's kind of a funny story. So the motorcycles, surfing, all good stuff. And now it's all vinyl, I haven't been out surfing in a couple of years. I have all my boards, and almost on a weekly basis, I say, I can't let it go any longer. I've got to get out there. It only gets harder to get back into it, especially as you're aging. You can't stop doing things, or sometimes you don't get to go back, And so I really need to get back out there because I just love it. It's just so much fun. I mean, you sit out there on a board, watch the sunset, and we've surfed till we could barely even see. It got so dark, sometimes. Surfed under the lights at Pismo Beach. They have lights on the pier. We surfed under the lights there. Yeah, I had a inflatable raft. We launched it on the beach in Gaviota. And when the surf was big enough, there's a dozen breaks back there, and they're just world renowned. It's just a famous place. But if you don't own land in the Bixby or Hollister Ranch, you don't have access. The only access you can get is by boat. So people buy rafts, with motors on them, just to access the surf out there. And that's why I bought my raft. I had an Achilles, I had a Zodiac, I had a couple of different ones. But when the surf is big enough to be breaking back there, it's also big enough to throw your raft flat on its back with you in it, So we had some adventures. I mean, there was more than once where I tried to get past that first breaker, and that raft stood straight up and down. And another time I was coming in to beach my raft, and I wasn't all that good at it yet. You can't let off on the gas. You got to just beach it under power. If you let off a little bit, it'll start to drift, and the next wave tips you over. So there's all kinds of people on the beach, hanging out at the beach. And I'm coming in to beach my raft after surfing all day. And it drifted sideways, and it got thrown over on top of me. And everything that was in the raft was floating. And I wasn't in any danger or anything. But the next thing I knew, a lifeguard was jerking me up out of the water in front of everybody on the beach. It was pretty humiliating. But anyway, so there was always an adventure at the raft. At the ranch. You had all these famous breaks out there: Governments, Percos, Rights, Lefts, Drakes, Cohos. Cohos was a famous break. But I mean, it's like a dozen cool places back there to surf. And I've been back there when we went to our favorite break, Percos, and nobody was there. We had it all to ourselves. And it's just head high wave after head high wave just all day long. And it's south of Point Conception, so the water is much warmer too. It's cold up here in Morro Bay, I mean, if you're out there on a cloudy day, I mean, you get pretty cold. We've had low 50s, and then every once in a while it gets up into the low 60s, and it's usually 57, 56, 57, 58 degrees. But you got to wetsuit on, you got booties on, stuff like that. But anyway, enough of that. So what do we got going here, guys? Bill, I hope to drop a Magneto into my little Harley. Oh, you got a Harley 45. Awesome. Oh, that's right. We talked about that before. Yeah. You know, I had a friend that had a not a 45, but it looks like a 45, but it's an 80-incher, an old 80-incher. And when I moved here to Long Beach, I had my Sportster, and another friend of ours, one of my wife's husbands, him and his buddies all had Sportsters that they put on rigid frames. They're really cool looking choppers, just beautiful. I still had the shocks and stuff on mine. And those guys just did nothing but work on bikes all day long. So Brian had the 80-incher, and he was building an absolutely beautiful, beautiful chopper. He had a long extended front end. He had, you know, pullback handlebars, beautiful red paint job with the peanut tank. They don't hold that much gas, but they're cool looking. Peanut tank, and that great big 80-inch engine, you know. And he got it all finished and took it for a ride. It was missing and stuff, which, okay, I mean, he just put it together, you know. That the motor probably hadn't ran in years. And so he got frustrated and he sold it for something like $1,800 to somebody. And I mean, and everything was just perfect, pristine looking on chrome, you know, nice spoked wheels, long chrome front end. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful bike, you know, and he got frustrated because on its maiden trip, it was missing a little bit and stuff. I mean, I say you work the bugs out, you have a nice bike for a while, you know. Okay. Drop a Magneto into my 45 again. I always wanted, a good friend of mine before I left Nevada had a panhead chopper. I love that panhead chopper. And he still, and Mikey Romero. Mikey still has that panhead. He still has several other motorcycles too. He's always had bikes, but he still has that original panhead. I used to go riding with him. And I remember him and another guy named Bill, and they were both older than me. I'd go over to the house and Bill's house, and Bill would be working on his Harley, and we'd be in his bedroom where he kept his Harley so nobody stole it. Remember that, Bill, back in the day? If you had a Harley, I mean, you know, if you couldn't put it in the house, you just about have to kiss it goodbye. Because, in fact, my Sportster got stolen out of my garage in Long Beach. Somebody broke in and stole it and all my tools. It was heartbreaking. I just finished putting a pearlescent paint job on it. Anyway, so back in the day, like I said, the thing was the bike was in the living room, the bedroom, never outside. No, you never put a bike outside. And, well, I'm testimony to that because mine got stolen. But anyway, okay, Panhead is a great bike. I just bought a BMW. Oh, no kidding, a BMW 1200. 1200. I've been eyeballing those. They got a new BMW. Kind of looks a little bit like a, kind of like a Fat Boy, you know. It's got the, I can't remember what the motor's called, R80 or something. You know, it's got the cylinder sticking out on the side. It's just they advertise it all the time. It's just an absolutely beautiful motorcycle. You know, I've always liked BMWs. My father said BMW was the best bike ever made. My father, when he came back from Europe at the end of World War II, he was a Screaming Eagle 101st Airborne. They parachuted him in behind, you know, German lines and stuff like that. As soon as he got back, he bought a 4-cylinder Indian. I have pictures of him. They got a picture right out here on the table. My father on his 4-cylinder Indian. I have to have that in here next time so I can show you guys. But yeah, my dad had a 4-cylinder Indian, and it's got some cool pictures. It's got the leather bomber jacket on, the leather flyer's cap, goggles, you know, straddling that. It's got that, what do you call that suspension that comes across the front fender? It's like leaf spring, like a leaf spring suspension on the front. And probably the rear suspension was like the springs in the seat, you know. I'm pretty sure that was a rigid frame. Anyway, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up now. I think I've been going on a little bit too long, and we're gonna call it a night. And I just want to thank everybody for joining. I had fun unboxing the Doors. Love that band. Love so many of their songs. Love vinyl albums. I can't get enough vinyl right now. I listen to it all the time. Collect it. And I'm just having a ball doing this. And I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for joining me tonight. I really appreciate the support. Hit the thumbs up button if you can. And hope to see you all next Saturday at the same time, 7 o'clock. Every Saturday at 7 o'clock. All right, guys. All right. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate this. And we'll see you all soon. Good night.